I want to go this year, Lubie, if we were ever going to cover a draft.
Oh, Vegas, right? Oh, my God.
Viva Las Vegas.
The draft would be insane in Vegas. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
In Vegas, right? And think about this now, with the new fusion and symmetry between all gambling entities. Remember when Roger Goodell was saying, yeah, you know what, we can't have this, it's gambling. Okay, Raj. Now he's in the sports book going, crazy with every basket by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, way to go, man. What are you kidding me? That's not a foul.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Thursday here in South Florida, good morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Deforrest, along with Michael Lubitz, and we welcome you to another edition here on Ion Channel of the Defo Show. We'll take you up until 9 o'clock Eastern Time today. A lot of live action happening on the program. Because if it's Thursday, it's the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and we will feature the great Dave Gurgles Gurgley. He's going to join us in about 15 minutes or so. We'll get the game started, and we'll have our game, our championship round of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge later on. You can dial us up if you'd like to play at 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Our perennial technical problem with that continues to be that we have one available phone line, which at what point do we go about the business of trying to correct that? Although it's more of a scramble for you than it is, I guess, for the players there. Mike Lubitz. But nonetheless, we'll have that 954-417-0070. We'll give away a Landlubber's gift certificate, Landlubber's outstanding sports bar here in South Florida in Plantation. If you're from out of town and you happen to win the game or somewhere outside the country, maybe a little tough to redeem the prize, but nonetheless, you can always carry the distinction to your grave of having been a champion on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Dave Gurgles Gurgley going to be along with that. Then later on, speaking of Hialeah Park, we've been pumping up this spectacular. It's going to take place on May the 7th, and that is the boxing card that's going to be staged there, second one of the year. Return after a couple of year hiatus. COVID messed with everybody, and it also kind of put a little curtain for a little while on the entertainment aspect of what was going on there at Hialeah Park. A very frustrated Frank Fiore was saying, hey, let me do something, man. I want to stage an event here because this is the place to do it. And he got started in January. A brilliant card there. What was that, like January 28th? They had a card that just knocked it out of the park, literally out of Hialeah Park, out of the city of Hialeah, and all around the world. Just a resounding success, and the people were clamoring for more, and they kept bugging Frankie, hey, please, can we do this again? Can we do this again? And so not only is he doing it again, but in conjunction with two different brilliant local promoting outfits, Henry Rivalta, who I've known for years, and Leon Margulies, who's always been just a sweetheart of a guy in terms of the way he approaches his business, and also just determined to bring you top-notch world champions with Warriors Boxing. You see them all over the world. And in partnership with Louis de Cubis, these three guys as promoters are going to stage a whale of a card featuring many, many exciting Cuban fighters. And Louis is going to join us later on. Louis is actually a very historic figure in boxing, Mike Lubitz. I know you've met Louis de Cubis maybe just casually a couple of times there at the fights, but what this guy has done, I mean, is pretty remarkable. There's this guy, and I forget his last name. It's some Russian name, or sounds like a Russian name. So first name is Samson. You see him in the ring all the time, and he's the guy that found Manny Pacquiao, and also a couple of other boxers that were extremely successful. And that was his game. He's found these guys all over the world and promoted them himself and managed them himself. So you can imagine what it was like having Pacquiao's contract around the time that he turned the corner and started knocking all of these guys out like Barrera and Morales. And once he got into being the Mexicutioner, what was that worth? Discovering Manny Pacquiao. Quite a bit of money, my friend. And, Louis is right there. I mean, with these Cuban fighters he's brought over and helped guide their career once they were able to defect. I don't know that he personally brought them over, but however he managed to become involved, he's done it with many, many fighters. So a very interesting guy. Louis the Cube is going to join us later on. And Dave Hyde on the local scene, which in South Florida, we are red hot. Mike Lubie, Lubitz, red hot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your mic's cutting in and out on my headset for some reason, Mike Lubitz. I don't know. You might want to be like directly on that because
I'm
it's
right
going
here,
in and out, in and out, in and out. But
Meeting it with-
hopefully you're coming across okay to the public out there on Ion Channel. All right, 3 NBA games last night. You know, speaking of Landlubber Sports Bar or Shenanigans, one of our other favorite places, or any of the other fine sports bars. That was good news yesterday, huh? From Ed Garcia, Texas
Yes,
Roadhouse, the regional manager, that there's going to be an infiltration, an inundation of sports bars that are run by the Texas Roadhouse parent company. And that should be spectacular because you would imagine the food there is going to be great, very reasonably priced, and they know how to set this stuff up. So you would want to be at some sports bar for sure in the next couple of weeks. You have one more week left of the regular season in the NHL, and then the playoffs get underway the first week of May. And we will be riveted to the opening series of the Florida Panthers because we have money riding on it. And that comes in the form of the gambling gourmet, Mike Mayo, who... does he really want to be this way, Mayo? What do you think? Does he really want to be like this, just contrarian when it comes to the local teams? Well, we need something to rally around here. We've had some really lame years. The Heat have always been consistently trying to win, and they managed to win a couple of championships. But when they had LeBron James, they had won one previously. And okay, yeah, they've been successful though. Always trying. They're always trying to assemble players that look like they could contend for a title. Pat Riley doesn't fool around. Although, if you saw the Pat Riley in winning time, you could never imagine that a man that was that fucked up could possibly become the distinguished gentleman that he is today, and the kind of ruling force and. He's literally a basketball god, Pat Riley, right? You would never have seen that.
Yep.
And by the way, did you see what happened? Jerry West is demanding an apology through his attorneys and a retraction of the portrayal that they have made of him, where they make him out to be just an unadulterated asshole, out of control. And he has every right to sue these guys, doesn't he? Now, I don't know. I mean, if you have a fictional depiction as a supposed work of art of what's going on. I mean, is this Johnny Depp and Amber Heard just going to be like some kind of meaningless pissing contest? Because what can Jerry really say? They say it's Jerry West. They have taken such liberties with his good name and character that does he have grounds for a lawsuit? What do you think? Put your attorney's hat on there. Pretend for a second that you're Roy Black or something. I mean, can he really get anything out of it other than, so what difference does it make if they issue an apology to Jerry West? What's he going to do with that? You're still watching the show, and he looks like a complete jerk-off in this program. What do you think? I mean, is that a useless endeavor? I guess it wouldn't be out of line for Jerry West to try and go public with the idea that, hey, this ain't me.
Well,
Correct?
that's the reason why you do that is because you want to bring attention to it. In the end, you may not even win a lawsuit. It's the idea that the way they've been portraying it, people like me who didn't grow up with it, because I get it, it's documentary style, but I'm not stupid. I know that means it's not a documentary. However, they've been using real names. They've been using situations that seem like they're real, and they haven't really been talking about it as a dramatic licensed piece. They've been talking about it as it's real. So if you're a Jerry West, you sort of want, and you're Kareem, all of them are Pat, right? Riley hasn't said anything, but Kareem, Jerry West have both come out very indignant about the way they're being portrayed. So that's sort of why you do that. You may not win a lawsuit, but it's just to make sure the public knows, I'm not co-signing this. This is not something like Serena Williams and Venus Williams were involved in King Richard. Jerry West and Kareem are making you sure.
I think they really cleaned up the King Richard thing, man. I mean, come on. Richard Williams, he was not well liked by the tennis community. I don't know. Did they really bring that out in the movie? They just made him look kind of annoying when he was working with the coach, who obviously was wrong in his approach. But he did take Venus and Serena to the whoever that coach was. And you couldn't tell if the coach was with Richard Williams or, just couldn't stand the fact that he was even around, because he would be all friendly with him after they had finished practicing. But I don't know. I mean, Richard Williams seemed like he was kind of a distant sort. Certainly kept the Williams sisters very well protected and did a lot of things that were contrary to, common tennis principles, which he should be respected for, because he did it his own way. But I don't know. Did that really come out in that movie? The parts that I watched seemed like Richard Williams was being portrayed by, Will Smith as, just a nice guy who happened to have a couple of girls that were very good at tennis. I don't know. Did you see that?
They didn't go into it. They went the other way. Like, this Showtime is making them look worse than I think they were. King Richard.
Worse, they're making Jerry West look like a complete clown.
Total scumbag, yeah. King Richard are the opposite. Like, they're like, yeah, he's a little eccentric. It's like, dude, no, we know you don't talk to him to this day. Like, he's not.
Yeah.
He hasn't talked to him in 20 years. Like,
when was the last time you saw him, Richard Williams?
He was a lot more. Like, he was an asshole. Like, he was.
I don't know that he was an asshole, but I mean, you don't even see him around the family. The family is like completely, disconnected from Richard Williams. You don't hear the Williams sisters ever mention, hey, you know what? I'm only here because of my father. Nothing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The mother, is it Arena, something like that? The mother's name. She's always there in the player's box. And the whole family's there, sisters, everybody but Richard, who I guess had some girlfriend the last time we saw him. And that has to be 5-10 years ago was the last time you saw Richard Williams at a match featuring the Williams sisters. So
yep.
Something quite, it wasn't quite connecting with the facts there in that King Richard movie. This seems like an outright joke, though. I mean, I grew up seeing Jerry West play and reading about Jerry West. And of course, we all know, the story with Pat Riley, and this is so far fetched the way that they're portraying. Especially, I don't know who's getting the worst of the shaft in terms of the portrayal of the character in that Winning Time. Is it Riley or West, or anybody else for that matter? I mean, they had Riley, Paul Westhead. We had him on the show. Remember Paul Westhead?
We did. Yep.
Had him on the show. He was in his 80s. He had written a book. He had a very distinguished career in basketball as a coach. Was well respected as an innovative coach, a guy. I mean, he was the guy that said, "Hey, I want to hoist up a shot every 3 seconds." Remember?
Yep.
And he talked about that, and he talked about this strategy in a book. So here's a guy that invented a strategy that is the antithesis of Dean Smith, who is revered as a coach. And Dean Smith comes up with the 4 corners, forcing the invention of the shot clock, and forcing somebody to make a rule because it's such a hideous strategy, it's going to ruin the game. And he's revered. Now, Paul Westhead, he comes up with a strategy that revolutionizes the game.
Yep.
And, is widely respected. And yet they make him out to be an absolute buffoon. Just an inept, snibbling, quibbling, quivering, putz they make him out to be. And they had Riley stuffing him in a bathtub. Did you see this scene where Riley's, pouring water over Westhead's head because he thinks he betrayed him? Because, after Jack McKinney went down there, Westhead became the coach, but he thought he needed help. So he asked Riley to help him. So Riley quits his job as an announcer and becomes like an assistant coach with Westhead. And then he gets a call from Elgin Baylor saying, yeah, I'm coming to town. And, of course, he assumes that Jerry Buss is bringing Elgin Baylor in to coach the team. So he's all pissed off at Westhead, and he literally like treats him, like he was, a human bowling pin there, just knocking him against the wall, bouncing off, the gutter and everything, and puts him in a bathtub, just stuffs him into the bathtub, and then threatens his life. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is anybody buying this? Because if this was all you saw, and it was based on a book that was, and we had the author on of the book, Winning Time.
Yes.
The story of the Lakers. And you would think that was, kind of John Feinstein-esque, where the guy had traveled with the team and been around. He was a reporter.
I think it wasn't Perlman. Wasn't it Jeff Perlman?
Yeah.
Who's written like 40 books and all been bestsellers. And we've had the guy on, and he's hilarious. And he wrote about Favre, and he wrote about like the Packers and the Bears. He's written about the USFL. He wrote an expose book about the USFL. Like, it was pretty true to form, his book. My uncle is a huge Lakers fan, and he borrowed the book because he loved the Lakers so much. And everyone I've read so far said, yeah, the book is nothing like this. They took the book and just ran with it in some weird direction that is not what anyone who was involved with it remembers.
You think they're making money with this thing?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're all.
I don't know. I mean, it might have been a little boring to portray West as this very reserved, quiet guy that never really said much of anything. But why have him in the movie at all at that point? If you're just going to have a totally farcical characterization of the great, legendary Jerry West, the half-court shot, the whole thing. I mean, Mr. Clutch, his image is the logo, the symbol, the emblem of the National Basketball Association. Although I guess they want to go away from that. Huh? Is that not happening anymore? Are they they're striking down the West logo?
I don't know.
The NBA? Not sure.
You heard about it for years. Like that it was going to be Jordan or something else, but like they've never actually made actions toward it.
Seems weird to replace a guy who was the symbol of your league forever because people that are, under 40 years old have no idea. And if this was all you saw of Jerry West, you would really have to wonder why any NBA executive would want to have any connection or recollection of Jerry West being in the league at all. They would want to denounce it. Oh, no, he never played in the NBA. What are you talking about? He'd go Trump on that. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. West? No, never heard of him. Jerry what? Who? What about you, Jerry? You're lucky to have a job here. The way your articles have been coming out lately.
Exactly.
Trump had a walk-off from an interview. I don't know if it was staged or not with his buddy Piers Morgan. I was reading about this morning.
It was like a friend. It was like...
That was his buddy, yeah, the original Celebrity Apprentice.
He can't Piers even Morgan. Do other, like, people that pay him homage? Like, geez, dude.
No, I mean, Morgan had torn him apart in the last year, and I guess somebody sent Trump a list of Piers Morgan's quotes about Trump and his denial about losing the election and all the other stuff that was going on, the Capitol riots and the insurrection. And Trump read it before he went and did this interview and apparently was livid. Which, I mean, it wasn't like there was anything particularly flattering being said. So even though they had great respect for each other as being vicious, cutthroat, business types, and people that just put themselves ahead of anything, any kind of moral and ethical scrutiny wouldn't apply. They just deny it. They had great respect for each other for that after Morgan's win on The Apprentice, but I guess that went out the window as soon as Morgan said something negative about the Trumpster. But no, that was big news in the New York Post today. And well described by Morgan as he described the walkout and just how outraged Donald Trump was. Now he would have a tendency to do that. Jerry West, you can't imagine. He's saying it's causing great stress for him and his family. You imagine this whole thing? Unbelievable.
Well, no, because they're making him look like he had and I've talked to people that said, look, the Jerry West that they had heard of was the ultimate competitor. So you get it. The ultimate competitor guy isn't going to be a sweetheart. Fine. But that doesn't mean he has to be a total jerk. Like, they've made him like nothing matters but his winning, and he was so into his own stuff that he could never win. Like, I don't know, they've made him into something that I had never heard him to be.
Well, I mean, the fact that he flies into a rage, at the drop of a hat, or the suggestion of virtually anything, seems very uncharacteristic and probably a long, long way from what Jerry West was actually like. All right, Dave Gurgles is about to check in here on the show. We have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. The games last night, terrific stuff, huh? Milwaukee gets beaten by Chicago. That was somewhat of a surprise. And in the process, Chris Middleton is injured. So I don't know the extent of that, but that is not a good development for the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. 76ers, Embiid. What's that?
Your boy Booker, remember we talked about it yesterday. What could it mean? He's for sure out games 3 and 4.
Yes.
That's not good. That's not good.
No, who knows? I mean, after 4 games, if you're the Suns, are you without Booker happy to be 2-2 after playing a couple on New Orleans home court? And New Orleans, was formidable. So taking a potential 30-point shooter out of your lineup or scorer out of your lineup, probably not the greatest thing for the Phoenix Suns, who had a marvelous season. Just goes to show you there are no guarantees, Lubie. No guarantees.
Yep.
So and Toronto, which everybody was saying was the wise guy team. Don't sleep on Toronto. They played a good ball game last night, no question. And then your man what is it? Precious Achua. Yeah.
I love that.
Bricks 2 free throws at the end of the game. Otherwise, has an outstanding game. He was actually the best of the Toronto players in the ball game, and a real hustling machine. This what is it? Precious. I keep wanting to say Princess. Precious Achua. Yeah. And yeah, I always liked him as one of those athletic NBA players that could be very versatile. But unfortunately for him, he bricks a couple of free throws late in the ball game, and that puts the 76ers in a position to actually take the lead. Harden misses a free throw. They end up in a tie. They go to overtime, and it appears that Toronto is going to find a way to win this ball game. And then with the game tied, I guess it was tied at the time. 9/10 of a second on a shot clock after a series of horrendous offensive possessions by the Philadelphia 76ers. Harden had fouled out, so he wasn't available to him. Maxey was kind of taking control of things, and they were going to go to Embiid no matter what. But he's 30 feet away from the basket, gets the ball stripped by Chua, and now they're in a desperate straits. It looks like they had lost the ball, turned it over, and you're going to go to double overtime. Somehow Doc Rivers managed to call a timeout from outside the building, and they granted it to him. As Embiid is hoisting this, desperation, not even a Hail Mary. I mean, this was just a heave that had no chance to score. And, there were going to be 2 seconds left in the game. I don't know if Toronto was going to be able to do much with that. But you have to consider that with 9/10 of a second, taking the ball out from their side of the court, the 76ers get the ball into Embiid, and he hits a turnaround, just perfectly arched and stroked three-point shot to win the game. And that was it. So now 3-0, I believe the stat was, and this I find almost inconceivable, Lubie, that teams in the postseason in the NBA that trail by 3-0, you know what their record is?
They've never come back ever.
0-143.
And never.
0. No team has ever done it.
I mean, that's a lot. Like, to have to win 4 straight games is literally impossible.
As we've seen. Cliche city, my friend. One at a time. That's all you need to do.
Yeah,
just take them one at a time. I mean, and you'll be okay.
We saw the Red Sox versus the Yankees, so we assume it's not that big of a deal. No, it's a lot. Like, eventually the team gets one in there. Like, there's a reason they're up 3-0.
The NBA never happened. Team coming back. So Toronto's facing that right now, that big giant goose egg. In the teams that have been able to come back from a 3-0 deficit, the answer to that question would be, if Gergels poses it today, not 1, not 2, not 3, 0, as in 0.0. All right, we did find out, and our friend Andy Slater, contemporary down here in South Florida, breaking another story there, and nobody had been able to get this answer about Dwayne Haskins, although it still leaves an element of mystery. Dwayne Haskins, of course, the now Steelers quarterback, Ohio State standout, went into the National Football League and didn't do well with the Washington Redskins at the time. Was eventually, I guess, let go or traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he had an outside chance, or at least, maybe even a 50-50 chance of being the team's starter this year. And he's walking on a local highway here in South Florida, 595, Interstate 595. It leads east and west, and apparently trying to get to the airport. And he gets he's walking on the highway, and he gets hit by a dump truck and loses his life. 24 years old. I mean, just a tragedy. And you're thinking, why the hell was he walking on this highway? Now, there was never any mention, and there still hasn't been any mention of a car found nearby, which is your first assumption that maybe something mechanically went wrong, or he ran out of gas, and for some reason, instead of staying with the car, which anybody would tell you to do, he decided to get out and walk because he figured that was the only way out of the situation.
Like, unless
to a gas station, I guess.
Road, there's no gas stations near 595. Like, even if you just started walking, there's nothing there.
No, nothing.
To call a wife, don't you call any AAA service, any car service, or fine, if you want to go find a gas station, which I still don't get an Uber. But again, like you said, what car? Like, what car ran out of gas? Like, where did this happen?
Yeah, where was this car? Yeah. There is nothing around there. I actually made the mistake one time of getting off. I was running out of gas on the way back from someplace in Miami, And I kept trying to go further and further until there was a more convenient location where I knew there was a gas station, but I couldn't push it any further. So I got out on that 595 road, and there's nothing nearby. And then when you do find a gas station, it's like 50 cents higher a gallon than it is anywhere else, which is already high enough because it's near the airport.
Yep.
Right? It's like a Chevron station there or something, and they absolutely annihilate you. In fact, when they take your credit card, they laugh, and then they call to see if you can, afford to spend $500 there at the pump. It's like a hotel. Yeah, we're going to put $300 on hold here. Okay, great. All right, let's get into the trivia challenge. But anyway, that's the way it went in the NBA last night. 76ers win. They're up 3-0 on Toronto. Chicago comes back, evens their series with Milwaukee. Chris Middleton, extent of injury unknown. Boston, Brooklyn was a real good ball game. And Boston ended up prevailing in that one after being down 17 earlier in the contest. And it looked like Brooklyn was going to come up with a win and even a series. They weren't able to do it. So the Nets now will go home trailing with the Boston Celtics 2-0. The team they swept them last year, right out of the playoffs. The Brooklyn Nets, who do appear to be dangerous, but something's missing there. I don't know that they get out of the series, especially now that they're trailing. I think Boston is just playing better basketball all around at this point. All right, Dave Gurgles, how are you, Gurgles? We're going to bring you in here and get in a quick Gurgles State of the Union address and then get into the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. What do you have? You have a prop there?
I can't
hear you, Gurgles.
Is there a mic? Do we have a mic?
Yeah. You might have to turn the mic on there and then hold up that flamingo.
We're getting near the mic.
What's he doing? He's goosing a flamingo? What's going on here? All right. No luck with the audio yet on Dave Gurgles Gurgly. All right. We'll work on that. In the meantime, let me tell you about Hialeah Park and what's going on there. We mentioned May the 7th, and going to be a big boxing extravaganza. Later on in the show, we're going to talk to Louis the Cubis, one of the most, accomplished of boxing promoters and managers, and now his son is handling those reins, but he's still involved, Louis. And, it's going to be great May 7th at Hialeah Park. I'm going to catch the Derby there in the Champion Simulcast room, planning on maybe getting there around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
And then zippity-doo-dah, straight to the fights. And it's going to be sensational. The atmosphere couldn't be any better. Get your tickets at hialeahpark.com and or at the box office there at Hialeah Park, and plan yourself many trips to beautiful Hialeah Park, where they're winning jackpots in the casino like it's going out of style. Poker room is always just extremely comfortable and always great. Any kind of game that you want to get into, they can find it for you. There's action galore in the poker room, and the Champion Simulcasting room happens to be a personal favorite of both mine and the great Dave Gurgles Gurgly when it comes to betting. In fact, Gurgles, I don't know. I mean, hopefully we can hear him. You normally are just screaming praise about the Champion Simulcasting room.
No, it's
this could end up being a little bit of a problem here. We're going to try to resolve that in just a second, the Gurgles audio, because without the audio, unless you're a prolific and a very accomplished lip reader, you would have trouble understanding the questions if you call in on the show. We also have the line available at 954-417-0070. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. Dave Gurgles Gurgly, hopefully not in his Marcel Marceau mode. Still nothing. Yeah, still nothing from Gurgles. Coming back with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, we hope, in a moment. Now that.
I got it.
There you are. All right. Good morning, Mr. Gurgles. We're going to take a break.
Oh, there you are.
Good morning.
Good.
Well, have you
I got Lubie snapping and crackling and popping in my ears. And Gurgles, did you say hello? I didn't catch you.
Yes, hello to everyone.
Is there?
Oh, very good. Okay, very nice.
Is fine.
Back
Ready
with
to
Gurgles in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:29.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, The Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now a mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Michael Lubitz, and we brought in the great Dave Gurgles Gurgley to conduct today's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Later on, speaking of Hialeah Park, Louis de Cubis, the great boxing promoter, going to join us here on the show and talk about that May 7th card and maybe some other things that are happening in boxing. Supposedly, the fight is made. I don't know if there was an official announcement or this is just speculation. But I believe it has been announced with no date. The Errol Spence Jr. Terrence Crawford fight that everybody's looking for in the welterweight division, a welterweight title unification bout. Spence has 3 of the 4 belts, and Crawford, who has mostly been fighting stiffs somewhere in Omaha, has nonetheless a distinguished 38-0 record with mostly knockouts. And these two are regarded by almost everybody in the game as probably the best 2 boxers in the business right now. And likely, that they will be meeting. It looks like they're going to be meeting a fight that had promotional considerations that were keeping it from happening. And apparently everybody's made peace, and they're going to make this thing happen, a big mega fight on tap. So we'll talk to Louis a little bit about that. David, how are you, my friend? Good to have you on the program.
Doing wonderful. I'm joined by my friend here, Freddie the Flamingo. Our good friends from Hialeah Park were the sponsors of the recent 48th annual Boy Scouts tournament here at Miami Lakes. So Frank Fiore and the gang, this was one of their T signs for Hialeah Park and Casino. And I had Freddie with me. Just wanted to say hello at the beginning of the show. Now we'll move them off to the side. And a little bit of where our show has an impact on reality. I came into the golf club this morning around 6:30. Who's checking in to play golf? It was one of the answers to a trivia question we had on last week's show. And that was, who was the starting pitcher in the first of opening day of the last season of the Montreal Expos? Levon Hernandez just checked in to play.
Wow. And how's his game, Levon Hernandez? Do we have any idea?
He can hit the ball.
Yeah.
He hits the ball really good. Yeah. His brother's a little more finesse, El Duque, but Levon can really hit the ball. Yeah.
We couldn't get him to do. That's one of those things. It's always hard to ask a guy to do like the line that he's known for, but we couldn't get him to do I love you, Miami, for us when we had him on an interview several months ago.
I think he's a little tired of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Unless he would have done like, let's get ready to rumble or that, like our friend there, and made some money off it, he would do it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's great, though. He was very candid about that strike call that he got on Fred McGriff. Remember, and McGriff is still,
Eric Gregg?
There's a chalk outline of him standing at home plate. Yeah, Eric Gregg made the call. A pitch, and Levon would be the first to admit it was 3 feet outside. And he was amazed. At first he started talking about, borderline pitch and all of this. We're like, come on, borderline BS, Levon. We all know it was that, in another area code. And to this day, McGriff, you can still see like a chalk outline of him in the left-handed batter's box at the Hard Rock Stadium.
There's a movie to be made out there. If someone had the money and the wherewithal to do a story on the Hernandez brothers and their trip on how they got here from Cuba. It was pretty unbelievable, and I think you could really make quite a tale out of that. It'd be a great 30 for 30, I think, on ESPN.
Now, is Levon playing with El Duque, who you've mentioned has been hovering around the country club there?
Levon's here with some of our other members. El Duque is a member. I don't know. It's a big money game they like to play here. So El Duque might be in the game today. I don't know. I just came back to get ready for our show, and but they can play golf. They can play golf, no doubt about it.
Very nice. No, that's classic. Yeah, we're charmed right out of our chairs sitting down with Levon Hernandez about I guess that was maybe 7-8 months ago. We had him on an interview, and he couldn't have been any more fun to talk to. And he wasn't feeling well that day, and that was the reason he said he couldn't do the "I love you, Miami," because he didn't have that much of a voice that day. All right, we're ready to go with the trivia challenge. How you feeling about the questions today? What would you say
I
the
think
degree of difficulty
we got some
is?
tough ones.
Okay.
We have some tough. I think if you had bet the under on the points scored over the last several weeks, I think you'd have made a fortune on this show.
Oh yeah, very very much so. And when you mentioned the funding for the movie, I am going to see later on today, I believe, the Polyman.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And he
He
happens
doesn't
to
have
be.
funds to get into the movies.
No, he's doing well right now. He really is.
Good. Really?
He's flush.
Good.
Yeah. And he actually he's wearing one of those little director's hats, like a Byron Nelson thing.
Yeah, the beret.
Yeah. And he's got a chair with his name on it now that he sits at the Magic City Casino, and he's all in, man. He had Billy Corbin running around there, and he's ready to make a movie. So I'll ask him if he wants to invest in the Hernandez brothers film, as proposed by Dave Gurgles Gurgley. Hopefully we'll get some kind of screen credit or maybe a bit part in a movie. That would be great as well. All right. Dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. That's the number. Lubie's got a Landlubber's gift certificate he's going to send to you. If you win the game, you also, as we say, you're designated as a champion forever, and there is nothing like being at the very height of the Ion channel. Jack, actually, I think he has a wall of fame from all the winners on there. Lenny the Chronic is up there a few times.
Yeah, a few.
So, feel free to dial us up. We have the one line. If it's busy, as soon as you hear the player is exited, boom, just jump right in at 954-417-0070. So, in honor of our esteemed colleague, the Polyman, who I hope to see later on this morning, we will start the game with Dave Gurgles Gurgley in the traditional fashion with some
easy baseball. This Angels manager on the owner, Gene Autry, and his expectations of the team said, listen, you have to bear in mind that Mr. Autry's favorite horse was named Champion. He ain't never had one called Runner-Up. What's that? Gene Mock, Bob Walk, Jonas Salk, or Don't Bet the Chalk?
Yeah, those Angel teams, man, he tried everything. The famous line was always that the singing cowboy has emptied his saddlebags in quest of a championship. All right, here's the random phone scrambler, and it lands on Mike as our first player today. Mike, welcome to the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir. Michael? Are you with us?
Hey.
There you are, Michael. Okay, good. You got the first one. That's part of the challenge here, and you have 1 point. You're in the game.
All right, Michael, sticking with baseball. Believe it or not, Nolan Ryan is the only player to play for all 4 original expansion franchises and only those franchises. True or false?
Wow.
Let's say false.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
He pitched for the Angels, the Rangers, the Mets, and the Astros, and only those.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Nolan Ryan. Of course, part of that fabled trade for Jim Fregosi. And whoever made that deal obviously would not want their name mentioned, or they would consider suing us, as Jerry West is with HBO. Have you seen any yet? Oh, you're not a cable TV guy. Gurgles.
No, but I get the Rockford Files every night.
Okay.
That works for me.
Great theme song.
And Johnny Carson.
Yeah. All right. One going for 4.
The Rockford Files.
All right, NBA. In the 2000s, who was the first player to record back-to-back 50-point games in the NBA? So in the 21st century. Who was the first player to record back-to-back 50-point games? Was that Antoine Jameson, Baron Davis, Tim Duncan, or Glenn Rice?
Oh, jeez, I've never gotten this.
Jameson.
Good for
Wow,
you.
Antoine Jameson. Very nice.
Well done.
You.
All right.
And I was fortunate enough when you gave me the job on the NBA cruise, Antoine was one of the guests on there and just a super nice guy.
I was going to say Baron Davis to that for some reason. Seemed like
he was on that too, and he's a producer now. Maybe we get him to do the El Duque movie.
He does a lot of
stuff. All right, here we go.
I mean, the Polyman's money is good. I'm telling you, we're going to be able to finance this thing, and if we go over budget, you would never see any stress in a situation like that.
One thing, though.
Yeah, never.
One word of caution: when you meet him today, if he sits in that director chair and he puts a hat on and he gets a big megaphone, tell him, do not say the word action. That's what's got him in trouble all these years anyway.
It might have been a series of unfortunate investments. I mean, it happens to everybody. It happened to me, right? I bought into the real estate market in 2008. And I remember my father telling me right after the market crashed completely to 0.0, he said, the good news, son, is you own 3 homes. And the bad news is you own 3 homes. All right, 5-point question coming up here, Mike. Just to give you 9. Very, very, significant total here early in this game.
All right, baseball, Mike. Who is the only player in history to hit a walk-off inside the park grand slam home run?
Okay.
Is that Roberto Clemente, Lou Brock, Willie Mays, or Hector Lopez?
Wow.
A.
Roberto Clemente, yes.
Wow.
Versus the Cubs. Well done.
Where did we find this guy from? Did you feed him the answers there, Gurgles? That was unusual, right? That breaks a long streak of lameness.
So hang on later and stand by, wait for a call, because what a great performance, Mike. Thanks.
All right, no, that was fantastic. All right, Mike starts us out with a 9 spot here, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. That's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. You can dial us up if you want to play. Be our next contestant at 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Well, Dave Gurgles Gurgley inclined to line up a Perdomo cigar. I don't know if they're going to be part of this big party here, Perdomo. I would imagine I don't see them listed, but the Cigar of the Year party coming up on Saturday night. Big Jack Namer is pushing. But Perdomo is always a great cigar to line up, Dave Gurgles Gurgley.
Perdomo cigar worldwide well known. Whether it's Vegas for the big smoke, whether it's in Germany where they were voted Cigar of the Year, they are the premier cigar company in Miami, and they're located 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the south side of the Palmetto, a little bit east of Home Depot. You see the big Perdomo cigar sign. Go in there Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Lauren, Nick's daughter-in-law, manning the desk there. His son's in the business now. It's a 4th generation of making perfect cigars. Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nicaragua. They are perfect, as a matter of fact. And they make them all, whether it's Maduro, Connecticut wrapper, whatever you like. 305-627-6700 is the number to call. 5150 Northwest 167th Street, the place to visit. Perdomo Cigars, whether it's this weekend out on the boat, whether you're on the golf course, and we sell them right here at Miami Lakes Golf Club, or wherever you are, you want to enjoy a great cigar, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
And a good time to tell our viewers and listeners out there that if you are a big cigar fan, the Cigar Snob is presenting the Cigar of the Year party. It's a big thing, and I'm sensing there's some kind of involvement with Ion Channel also. Oliva cigars featured there, Melanio, Maduro, all fine, reputable brands. Dave, you're a cigar aficionado. Yeah. This is going to be at the Surf Comer Hotel. First place I ever stayed when I came to Florida. Surf Comer Hotel. I was in high school. I think a bunch of guys. Alfred Scleroux was part of it. My friend Zach Albahay. I remember a few others. 8 guys in a room at the Surf Comer Hotel. And we had a blast. We couldn't believe how gorgeous the weather was. It was like a spring vacation there, Easter time. And great place. But since I would imagine renovated, to be on a par commensurate with the swanky places that you have down there on South Beach right now. So Surf Comer Hotel, that's coming up on Saturday night. For tickets, universe.com/cigar of the year. Our favorite words that you could group together, open bar, Dave Gurgles Gurgley, and all kinds of great stuff being served there. I mean, real high-end premium stuff. And then you make your own cigar which, I'm hoping maybe Nick Perdomo shows up and helps them out there. But they do have many fine brands represented, including Oliva, here at the Cigar of the Year party, April 23rd. Once again, tickets at universe.com/Cigar of the Year. That's all one word. All right, ready to go. We have Mike with 9. A good player so far, and you can line up at 954-417-0070. This is our game of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Later on, speaking of Hialeah Park, we will be joined by the great Louis Cubis here, and he'll tell us about this May 7th show.
If they keep adding people, like Frank Fiore just emailed us. So we've talked to him a couple times. I don't remember Ulysses Diaz. He did the bare knuckle stuff. I literally him in a bare knuckle fight, knock out a dude in 30 seconds. It was impressive. Then he fought the guy the next time who was like Hector Lombard, who's like a legend, and took him 3 full rounds. Was the best fight I've ever seen. Like, they went at it. It was a freaking war to the point where it was like old school. It was a standing O, and they hugged each other at the end because the fight was freaking amazing. Yuli, who's a good dude, we become friends. He's going to be on the Mason card. Like, they can't.
Oh, yeah, wow.
It's going to be like a whole weekend. It's going to be like a festival. These freaking fights. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be like one of those old Jack Johnson fights, okay, here we go. Round 106. I tell you what, it looks like Johnson is starting to fade a little bit here. Imagine calling like 106 rounds of boxing straight. And that's just the main event, right? What were the prelims like? That's why you were always rooting for the one-round knockouts in the prelims, right? They just don't want to waste a whole lot of energy on that. All right, but these are going to be sensational, right? I mean, that's bell-to-bell action. I don't know. I may have to have like one eye on the Derby and already be at the fights.
Exactly.
We're going to have to start this card like one of those Don King cards in Las Vegas. It starts at 4 p.m. There are like 2 people there watching a world title fight. But no, this is going to be packed. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hialeah Park, they always do it right. So we'll talk to Louis about what's going on with that in just a few minutes. All right, now ready to go. Our next set of questions, we have Mike is in the house with 9. So he's kind of sitting like Jordan Spieth was in last week's Heritage Classic. In the clubhouse with 13. Everybody's going to be chasing. And here's Dave, our next set of questions.
Oh, and by the way, if you're going to Hialeah Park, you got the Derby in the afternoon, you got the boxing at night, and the next day is their spectacular Mother's Day brunch. So if you talk to the missus or mom and say, hey, I'm going to go the day before to scout for good seats for us, that's your excuse to go to the Derby and the boxing. And then the next day you got the brunch. So what a trifecta.
That's a weekend.
It's going to be great. Yeah, no, and they do a tremendous job on that. And extremely, I mean, I think you mentioned a price on that. It was like ridiculous because it's all you can eat, man. All you can eat. I mean, you can just like Lubie. They lose money when Lubie shows up. No, really, they do. I mean, Frankie, he just tells the chef, hey, listen, this one is a lost leader, man. Lubie's going to talk about it, but we're going to lose money on this guy. Trust me.
All right.
All right, here we go. Next set of questions.
Boxing. This columnist on the rise and decline of a boxer's career once wrote, Buster Douglas went to bed as a 231-pound world champion and woke up as a 270-pound parade float. What was that? Scott Ostler, Scott Ledoux, Florent Giroux, or Pepe Le Pew?
I immediately thought of our dearly, beloved friend and the late, great Bert Sugar on that one. Yeah. Here's a scrambler to select our next player, and it lands our good friend Pat. Speaking of theatrics, Pat, you know anybody who can finance the movie about El Duque and Levon Hernandez? Pat.
I'm on that one.
He's here.
Hey.
There you are. A is correct. All right. You answered one of the questions anyway, and that was the one that you really needed to get to be in the game. As soon as we ask for money, people clam up. Have you noticed that? What is that? Hey. You have 1 point, Pat, and you're in the game. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Oh my God!
All right, Pat. Golf, true or false? Masters champion Scotty Scheffler, believe it or not, in addition to being a very good golfer in high school, was a star on the volleyball team. True or false?
Oh God!
Okay.
You saying false?
What do you say?
Is that false?
False?
Yep.
It is false. Yeah.
Yep.
False? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could have been. I mean, he's tall. Made some
thought it
sense
was.
there, Gurgles.
I thought it was
You,
true.
you had me slightly fooled on that. I was going to go true.
Nolan.
Actually, you had me completely fooled, Gurgles. Let's be honest about it, right? I was completely
100%.
befuddled and duped into thinking that was true. All right, you have
for
2,
running.
Pat, and going for 5 here, still alive for the sweep.
Yes, sir.
Back to the NBA, Pat. This year's NBA Defensive Player of the Year award went to Marcus Smart, not Bam, who a lot of people thought should have got it. Who won the first ever NBA Defensive Player of the Year award in 1983? What's that? Michael Jordan, Alvin Robertson, Mark Eaton, or Sidney Moncrief?
Oh, jeez.
C.
Oh, C? Did you say C or B?
C.
B. C?
C.
B as in boy.
B. Yes.
C as in cat. No, I didn't
C.
say C as in cat.
You know, it really doesn't matter. They're both wrong. It's Sidney Moncrief.
Okay,
As
good.
a matter
Yeah.
of fact.
I was going to say
He won it in
Moncrief, D.
back-to-back
Yeah,
years.
that's what I thought he said, though. I was going to give him credit for saying D. Pat, are you calling from a payphone at a gas station with a stocking over the voice piece?
You're in a correctional facility?
Yeah.
Hey,
And
And
careful.
he's speculating you're in witness protection somewhere. The clarity of this phone is
Oh, my
you know,
God.
commensurate with somebody that's on the lam. Yeah, yeah.
There you are. Hey, Pat.
Whitey Bulger was more clear on the phone calls that he was making from that gas station in Santa Monica. All right, 5-point question here, Pat. Very important tally for you. If you get this one right, you'll have 7, be in second place.
All right, boxing. Which fighter once said, "I was Mike Tyson before Mike Tyson"?
All right.
Was that Roy Jones Jr., Thomas Hitman Hearns, Boom Boom Mancini, or Roberto Duran?
Boom Boom Mancini.
I would say
Oh,
Duran.
believe
I
it
would
or
say
not.
Duran.
That's Roberto Duran. Roberto No Mas Duran. That's right.
Thanks,
The
Pat.
hands of stone. Manos de Piedro. All right, Pat, thanks for playing the game. You're not totally out of it, although wherever you're calling from, I hope they don't find you. I really. Not
Stay
that we
in.
want you to go missing, but yeah. Wow, that was weird, huh?
He's
We
like,
couldn't
really?
understand a
Well, I
word
think
that
he's-
man was saying, not one word, and yet we still
Well, you
played
know,
the game.
Yeah, why not?
He's an actor, so the rumor. I think he's on the set of the remake of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with Jules Verne. So that's where he could be.
Sounded like Ross Martin at the beginning of those races. He used to call it
Yes,
Gulfstream.
he did. Yes,
'Cause,
yes.
You know, we had the nickname for Ross. It was. Oh. You're like, what is he, underwater? What is up with this guy? Yeah, we called him Aqualung. That was our nickname for Ross Martin. He was a hell of a nice guy, too, and had a weird gig, right? Finger Lakes Racetrack most of the year, and then the rest of the time he was down here at Gulfstream Park for a couple of months. A premium racetrack anywhere in the country, along with, of course, Hialeah in the heyday. I always liked it when Hialeah had the middle dates, though.
Me too.
Wasn't that the way to go? Right? January, February, Hialeah Park. It was just absolutely perfect. And then they kept hosing him, huh? Who were these people in the legislature, and what kind of satchel full of cash were they getting from certain entities to continue to just hammer away? And Mr. Brunetti, unbelievably bold. I mean, they would put up with this and be screaming and yelling, and and they would go, "Oh yeah, okay, John, don't worry about it." And they ended up, unfortunately, not racing anymore. But wow, are they cranking now? That was still, yeah.
And if Mr. Brunetti Sr., God rest his soul, was still alive, and he could prove to our governor that none of the horses at Hialeah were gay, he could probably get those middle dates again.
DeSantis is on a roll right now. I mean, who takes on
Wow.
Disney World? Who just says, "Hey,
Wow.
Disney, you know what? Some of these considerations that you've been getting that were very favorable to your bottom line."
Yeah, like Disney, like of all places in Florida.
Wow.
Hello.
Walt is rolling over in his
Who's a
grave
bigger
right now.
Who's a bigger business in Florida than Disney?
I mean, there was no
Largest
Florida before
employer.
Disney, right?
Exactly.
You thought Walt had lost his mind, when he said, "You know where I'm going next? Orlando. We could do this there." Like, Orlando? What the hell is that? That's a city?
Yeah, exactly. Where's that?
They only employ like 8 million people. I don't know. I mean, they've had some I think unfavorable positions in the past that they've represented, but now all of a sudden they decided to wake up because they're going to lose half their business and be on the right side of something.
Exactly.
All right, no problem. That's our political commentary for today. Dave Gurgles Gurgley, weighing in on that, although he wants nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
All right, more of the trivia challenge coming up. We'll get some more players in. Congratulations to Mike. He's our leader with 9 pats in the game, but not necessarily in great contention to win the prize today. A very, is he not a gentleman's gentleman, Pat Fox?
Good dude. Yep.
Over the years, always supportive of all of the stuff that we've done. You can dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. It's the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on Ion Channel on the Defo Show. Tomorrow, a Degenerate Friday, and then Lubie's going to be airborne and fly into Greece. Can you believe this?
Really?
Not to see the show, Greece, the actual country. You mentioned Greece to the Paulie man. He starts thinking about some of the guys that do in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of Grease in my
lifetime.
lifetime.
He's Grease lightning.
Yeah.
Although, talking about that, last week I went to see in Lauderhill Theater Guys and Dolls.
Nice.
I got the horse
Oh,
right
yeah?
here. His name is Paul River. Yeah.
Were you with
What
a first-time
great
starter
play.
that you were
Always
trying
wanted
to buffalo into thinking that you had some taste?
No, it's a long time friend. Long time.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. But Greece, you're going to have a wonderful time in Greece,
Thank
by
you,
all
sir.
means. You know how to do the dance? Oh, yeah, you got to learn the dance.
Well, we're going to do a whole thing with plates. It's Shirley. She has a whole thing planned. I'm not going to sleep for like the next 9 days, but it'll be fun.
Well, the people in the administration are suggesting that he stays there.
Exactly.
No.
Shut up.
Yeah.
We want him back.
Oh, we want him back. Yeah. We will have some specially devised programming for next week, by the way. So I think you guys are going to enjoy that. All right, we're coming back with more with Dave Gurgles Gurgley. We'll play more people, 954-417-0070. Louis the Cubis coming up about 8:15. Dave Hyde on the local scene. He has agreed, didn't he, RSVP to the invitation to the Mayo dinner? Which you're invited to also, Dave Gurgles Gurgley.
Yes.
If the Panthers win a first-round playoff series.
And if they lose, you're not. But if they win, definitely.
If they lose, you're out.
Okay.
Lose my number.
Good,
as they
that's
say.
right.
Yeah, LMN. That's the abbreviation for that. Lose my number. But if they win, you're in. And it's all on Mayo. Did you see him? He was schwitzing yesterday at the mere suggestion of the number of people. Because he was taking a list of how many he's going to have to hold the table for. And Anthony Bruno was screaming, "What do you mean 16?" All right, we're coming back with more here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, the Defo Show on Ion Channel in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:58. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Florida, which is in the state of Florida, has been in the Stone Age forever. I mean, we're still operating by blue laws. I don't even know if you can buy a beer before 12 o'clock on a Sunday. I'm not sure what religious cult is responsible for the legislation that takes place, but essentially Florida is structured this way. We're here in South Florida, which is very hip and up with modern times. And once you get, north of Palm Beach, Mike Lubitz, West Palm Beach, Florida, For those unfamiliar with the geography of the state, if you get like 30 miles out of town here, forget about it. It's Hillbilly City. You're hearing banjo music and somebody's telling you to squat down like a pig when you pull up to the Waffle House. It's just the way it is.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz. We have Dave Gurgles, the handsome one there down at the bottom of your screen. And it is the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. They're always doing charitable things, though, Hialeah Park. I mean, that's another great thing about these people. Yes, not only do you, sense that it's, I mean, like one big family there, and that's the way the vibe is at Hialeah Park. You feel like you're part of the family coming in there, and you're going to love it. I mean, you talk about excitement. I love the setup they have there for the boxing. I really do. Being a giant boxing fan my whole life, since my earliest memories, for some reason, I was always into the sport. Loved everything about it. The history, going to the gyms, meeting the people. Absolutely fantastic. Very fortunate to have gotten sort of inside the boxing game for, a good portion of my life and always loved every second of it. But this venue is fantastic. It really is, because even if you're in the back row there, that might be, as exhilarating as being ringside. So there's not a bad seat in the house. It's absolutely fantastic. The vibe is tremendous, and they don't cone you over the head with a baseball bat at the concessions like they do.
Nope.
Where you're getting like a $20 beer at a boxing match. I mean, it's not like that at Hialeah Park, and very, very well run. I mean, the way they organize their events are just absolutely fantastic. No hassles. Just come in, have a great time, and then right into the casino after the last fight. Be great. All right, so that's coming up. We'll talk to Louis Cubis about that in a few minutes here. We want to conclude this week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. So we're going to get another player in and then go to the finals. We do have Mike established now as a finalist. He is automatically in. He won the play-in game. So he comes in as the number one seed right now unless somebody sweeps. So let's get right to it. Dave Gurgly. And our next set of questions here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
And appropriately enough, Hialeah Park and Casino, gambling is the topic of this one. This Broadway celebrity, when asked if he was a gambler, famously replied, "Not really. My idea of gambling is walking through Central Park whistling show tunes." What's that? Tommy Tune, Tommy Tresh, Tommy Davis, or Tommy from Skunk Ape?
I could see where that would become a problem, no question,
Yes.
where at least you have a shot to win if you're gambling. All right, here's a scrambler, and it lands on, oh, great. All right, here we go. Another fabled player of the game. Andy, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, guys. I'll go with Tommy Tune, letter A.
Tommy Tune
Well
is correct. Now, has anybody located Pat Fox? You suggested that he was in witness protection, and great minds think alike. That's exactly what Leslie Visser said about the situation. You were looking for Ray Liotta, playing the part of Pat Fox sometime in the future. Yes. All right, you have one, Andy. Going for two.
All right, golf, Andy. At the recent Hootie and the Blowfish Pro-Am Celebrity Golf Tournament, the winning team, Connor Godfrey and Mia Hamm, the soccer star, finished one stroke ahead, believe it or not, of Paige Spiranak, who you see in the post all the time, and her partner, David Wells, the former Yankee pitcher.
Wow.
True or false?
Oh, jeez.
I'll go with Lenny just called me and told me to say false. So I'll go with false.
False.
Well, if Lenny said false, you should have known it's true.
Yeah.
No, it was David Wells. They shot 54, finished second.
David Wells, always haunting, right? The picture of that little Italian guy knocking out David Wells, who was like, 6'3", 260. Yeah. Only in New Jersey, in a bar in New Jersey, could something like that even, begin to take place. All right, 2 for 2 here, Andy, and going for 5. Oh, no, 1 for 2 and going for 4.
He has 1 point, 1 point.
There you go. All right, Andy, baseball. What 300-game winning pitcher accumulated the same number of hits at the plate as he did wins on the mound? Was that Warren Spahn, Don Sutton, Nolan Ryan or Walter Johnson?
That's an interesting question. Let's see. I'll go with Sutton.
I'm going to go Spahn.
No. Yep. 363 victories, 363 base hits. You're exactly right.
Yeah, he was a decent hitter, and he was around for a long time. So that one, that made a lot of sense. Although Sutton was around for a long time, and wasn't terrible at bat either, I don't think. All right, very good, Andy. You're in a spot here. 5-pointer coming up. You get this right, you're in the finals. Miss it, and there's a good shot you'll be in the finals anyway. So, sayonara.
It's a better score. Pat has 2. Pat's
that's right. Pat would win out.
Right, that's right. There we go.
True false deciding it, right? I mean, was it a 3-pointer or a 2-pointer? Was he on the line? Here we go.
All right, hockey. The Florida Panthers are on the verge of a 12-game winning streak. Which NHL team still holds the mark of 17 straight wins?
Wow.
Is that the Philadelphia Flyers, the Boston Bruins, the Pittsburgh Penguins, or the Edmonton Oilers?
That's probably wrong, but I gotta go with Edmonton.
That's what I would have said. Edmonton.
You're right. It is probably wrong. Yeah, it is probably wrong. No, believe it or not, 1993, the Pittsburgh Penguins did it.
Penguins, yeah, they were great too.
That was going to be my next choice. All right.
You're the best man. Thanks.
Oh, and the Oilers made some sense, right? Gretzky, Messier, all of these guys.
That's why we put it in there. Yeah.
All right. We're going to dig up. That sounds a little crude. We're going to bring up Pat and Mike, and they're going to contest the finals here. Another word about Perdomo Cigars, though, Dave Gurgly.
Yes. Matter of fact, and I know John Congemi is a good friend of the show.
Yes.
So yesterday, I had a Perdomo cigar at Keeneland, a Perdomo horse.
Yeah.
And when you see Congemi, tell him he's the one that uses this phrase, being from Pittsburgh. The horse's name was Ewens. Y-O-U-E-N-S.
Oh, Ewens, yeah.
That's a phrase from the Pittsburgh area. So I bet him pretty good, and unfortunately he ran third. But it didn't diminish my love for the Perdomo cigar that I enjoyed. I had a lot 23 yesterday. I'm looking at a box of double Coronas for a friend. I'm going to go see Nick probably this week, and I'm going to ask him about if he's involved in that big smoke you're talking about.
Yeah.
But Perdomo Cigars, 5150 Northwest 167th Street, right off the Palmetto, 305-627-6700. You want one this weekend? They're only open Monday through Friday, but any tobacconist will have them. www.perdomocigars.com to find the cigar company near you, the tobacconist that has a great Perdomo cigar. Enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen. Perdomo, simply the best.
Yeah, a lot of these cigars made with tender loving care, as is the case with Perdomo. And, of course, we've been talking about this for the last few days here on the show, the Cigar Snob presentation of the Cigar of the Year party. It features Oliva cigars, Melanio, Maduro, all reputable brands, right, Dave Gurgly? Yep. Great stuff. And there's room for everybody at the top, as we found out here from doing this show. It's at the Surfcomer Hotel on South Beach. That's one of Polyman's favorite hangouts, is it not? You see him with a little ascot, and hanging out, maybe wearing maybe a turtleneck on occasion, even on a hot summer day. Saying, I love these cigars here at the Surfcomer. Going to be a lot of fun. Blend your own cigar of the year also while you're there. And, drink and eat to your heart's content, man. Going to be a lot of great food and drink, and that's in an open bar and, all-you-can-eat type of situation. Hors d'oeuvres coming around there, the little knishes, the hot dogs in a blanket. Probably some fancy schmancy stuff, too, like a little... Are you a caviar guy, Gergs?
No.
I never was, yeah.
Rich cracker, maybe peanut butter or some good cheese, but that's about all I'd have. But speaking of good cigars, Oliva lives right on our golf course here, right on the hole I do my Beat the Broadcaster. Mr. Oliva lives right there. Just delightful people. I can see him out in his porch smoking a cigar, and that family has a great tradition of making great cigars as well.
It should come as no surprise. For tickets, by the way, to that event, that's Saturday night, universe.com/Cigar of the Year. Check that out. Our man Jack recommends this thing like 1,000%. He says it's going to be great. And I'm glad you know Oliva also. I mean, is there a famous cigar manufacturer that you're not familiar with, Dave Gurgly? Because you seem to really know the top people in the industry.
Well, I the ones I love before I met Perdomo were H. Upman, Hoya de Monterrey, and Monte Cristo. But I didn't know the Monte Cristo. I knew the sandwich, but I didn't know him personally.
How about Montefusco, the Count of Montefusco? He was
Oh,
great, John
I
Montefusco.
knew him only as a harness driver. I knew him. That's it.
Which is one of his trivia challenge distinctions, along with Gilles Villeneuve. Athletes that were of some significance who later became harness drivers. Do you believe Tony Segreto was in a 10-horse field in a media race at Pompano Park? Does that seem possible? I mean, a 10-horse
No,
field. I
when?
wouldn't even trust Carmine Abatello in a 10-horse field in a media race.
Wow.
What are you talking about? 10-horse field? You think
Good
they
for
really
Tony.
sent 10 out there? Wow, that
I was
seems
just
very,
wondering
very
how his
risky.
feet reach the pedals. That's what I was worried about.
He had a custom designed sulky, Tony Segreto. All right. Speaking of, I mean, this makes sense that we couldn't find Pat, because it did sound like he was calling, from a correctional facility or something, where you could almost sense somebody else was listening in on the telephone call. Did you hear what he said? He said it's going down Tuesday.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to have to shake down his cell. Right, that's what we're hearing in the background while Pat's on the phone. So we go to Andy. We defer to Andy, who makes the finals now against Mike. And here's the way it's going to work, guys.
Okay.
Dave's going to fire off a question. Call out your name if you'd like to answer right away. Nobody does that. We offer multiple choice. First person to call out his name gets first choice. We go back and forth until we have a winner. No 3 knockdown rule in effect. And a fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final. With that in mind, for the Landlubber's gift certificate and the distinction of being a champion here on Ion Channel of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, the great Dave Gurgles-Gurgley.
Hockey. This last week, we lost not only a great player, but a great person too, Mike Bossy of the Islanders, who in 1981 scored 50 goals in 50 games. The last two, number 49 and 50, came in the same game versus...
Ooh. Andy might have been there. Anybody? Here's multiple choice.
Was it the New York Rangers, the Quebec Nordiques, the Vancouver Canucks, or the Montreal Canadiens?
Mike,
who was it?
Transfer.
Vancouver.
Canucks.
No.
3 left for Andy. 3 left for Andy.
Andy, was it the New York Rangers?
I know the Canadian.
Who?
He's going Montreal.
No.
2 left for Mike.
Mike, was it the Rangers or the Nordiques?
Nordic.
Yes.
That's it?
Quebec Nordiques, yes.
Very good.
Rightfully
Mike.
so.
A deserving winner. Yeah.
Mike,
Andy was kind of a lucky loser, as they have in the tennis tournaments, where he lost in the qualifiers, but somehow got in because somebody scratched out of the main draw. And so a very deserving winner in Mike. So we'll have Lubie get the information on Mike. You'll get the Landlubber's gift certificate. And also, I believe, I'm not sure, what room is it over in the Ion Channel studios that Jack is engraving the names? Do we know? Because he showed me a picture of it, and he had like all of the winners that have won on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Gurgles, great job as always. I will give your regards to the Polyman, if indeed, as I anticipate,
by all means.
I will see him today, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sure when I see him, he will vow to be back with us in the very near future on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
Mike, have a great trip to Greece. Good for you and Shirley.
I appreciate it. Be safe, and I'll see you.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We will have shows next week, by the way, even with Lubie out gallivanting around the world. All right, we're coming back with more. Louis the Cubis is going to join us here in a moment. Don't forget about Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. That's mile marker 104, and the beautiful area of Key Largo, Florida. Just absolutely fantastic. You get out of the Florida City area there, and you pass by like the gas station, and you're on the road for a few minutes, and bingo, right there on what would be, I guess, what would that be? That would be the west side of the, is it north and south? Yeah, the west side is Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. You can't miss it. Absolutely fantastic. And, just a great place to go. Great accommodations. Check out jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com for that. And always a good spot. Dominic and Jemmy, John's brother. I mean, is there a more, together and sweetheart of a family than the Congemies? From father, patriarch all the way down. I mean, they do a great job. They put a lot of love and care into the service and the food they serve. And of course, making sure that the vibe is always very Key Largo-esque You can almost hear, the song in your head. Key Largo. You just feel great. At Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104 on the Overseas Highway. All right, going to talk some boxing, El Boxeo, with the great Louis de Cubis. He's coming up next here on Ion Channel. And Dave Hyde on the South Florida sports scene, which, wow, could we be sitting on two champions, Lubie? Or is it going to be Disappointment City once again? If Mayo cashes his bet, I may never wager again. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that. Possible. 8:15. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Ric Flair, the world's heavyweight champion. I don't have to say a lot more about the way I feel about Ric Flair. No respect, no honor. There is no honor among thieves. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right, always a pleasure to welcome this man to any program that we're doing. Great respect for his accomplishments in our favorite sport, or among our favorite sports. I know boxing, horse racing, always been one, too. Baseball, of course, and the traditional sports, always on my radar. But always loved boxing since my earliest memories. And love talking to this guy. Louis de Cubis joins us here, outstanding promoter and manager of many greats. Louis, how are you, my friend? Good to have you on the show.
Good. We've known each other a long time, very long time, and we many times it's always a pleasure to see you, and it's always my honor to be on your show because you've been around as long as I have.
Yeah, we're the geezers at Caesars here, pretty much. But you still look great, which is fantastic.
I tell you, I'm really, really excited about this card. First I just want to start out thanking John Bernetti Jr., Frank Fury, of course, the Hialeah Racetrack Casino. What a beautiful casino. What a beautiful boxing venue. My partner, Henry Balta. Of course, Liam Margot has been my partner for 31 years. I'm really happy to be part of this card. You got 2 title fights in one night with 2 Cubans, which is great. Hialeah, you know what I'm saying? And that's, Perot, the kid, the 6-0 heavyweight. Former amateur world champion, Pan American gold medal winner. He's the same guy that fought Giovanni Brunzone at the Hard Rock on January 1st and had a great battle. He won. He's the main event in this card's NABA, Central Championship, which is WBA championship. He's ranked number 15th in the world right now. He's fighting Hector Paris of Tamarack, rough guy, 7-4. Also on the card, Anthony Martinez, a kid from Miami, white chocolate. Very exciting kid. He's got a great fan base, and he's going to be fighting a kid coming all the way from New Zealand, a 17-year-old kid, and they're fighting for a WBO cruiserweight title, which is New Zealand against Cuba. Okay. Also on the card is the kid that made the great, knockout of Abraham Martinez, Oresta Velasquez, which was the fight of the night, last fight card we had in Hialeah. And he's fighting former world champion. This kid's 3-0, by the way. Oresta Velasquez, the Cuban, got probably 400 amateur fights, but he's 3-0. And he's fighting the former world champion, which has got, 40 fights, Okay, Juan Carlos Bombillo Salgado, former WBO champ. Okay, well, of course, it's Mexican night, and we want to put some nice Mexican to it, and we brought a world champion to fight a Cuban. Also on the card is Ariel de la Torres, Paris. The kid that fought also on the card made a hit in the last Hialeah card. We're bringing all the guys back that made hits on the card. And he's fighting a rough guy from Argentina, Luca Baez, okay, which got 50 professional fights. And it's going to be a lot of fights on the card. It's going to be a lot of great Cuban guys, Cuban fighters, like Hugo Noriega is 1-0 with one knockout, fighting, a guy that's got 50 professional fights. A guy that everybody's talking about is this Victor Abreu, Henry Rebalta's kid. He's making his full debut fighting the guy at 13-7.
Good stuff.
Great fights. Yeah, all good stuff. And if you want to see a lot of young guys that that they're going to make a lot of noise in the future, it's like a good time for you to come to the Hialeah racetrack May 7th and watch all these young Cubans, fighting. And I'm just proud to be part of this card. Stepping up and working, of course, Warriors Boxing and making sure that that we're that everything goes great. And they've been great partners. We've been with them a long time now. We've been doing shows with them. I don't know, by the 10th, 12th show we're done with them. Been a great partnership, and I'm very proud that that John Bernetti Jr. and Frank Fury and all the people in the Hialeah Casino put that much effort into boxing, because it's been a real success for us.
Well, and it's great, and there's a great vibe out there, tremendous atmosphere, which is always a big consideration of mine. You want to go to the fights and have some kind of exhilaration, overcome you, and get involved, and it's very conducive to doing that. It was funny. We had Louis the Cubis with us here on the show, and we had Henry on last week. And he started naming off all the guys on the card, and I think you had signed everybody but Teofilo Stevenson to fight on this card. I mean, it was incredible for the Cuban. What time is this going to start? Because you're going to have to start in the afternoon.
Like brunch.
No. We're the doors are going to. If you want to come and watch 7 o'clock, I'm going to talk to Frank Fury. We have a press conference on Friday. And I like to open up the Saturday, start early, okay, and we don't want to end too late, maybe 11:30, okay, and at last time everybody ended at that time. We all had a great time at the casino, and I know all my old friends, they all would stay there at 3-4 o'clock in the morning partying. So we also enjoy the atmosphere in the casino after the fights. It's just not the fights.
Well, what's interesting about this, to me, Louis, is quite often for years, whether it's in the boxing game and then recently in MMA, promoters have sort of gotten in the way, right? Like you have these two great fighters. Everyone wants to see the fight, but they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't come together. I love that in this case, you guys got together with Frank. Of course, I'm sure Frankie was involved because we know Frankie's the peacemaker. And you guys are not only together to put this card together, but promoting it hand in hand, which is something we rarely see in boxing. And I really appreciate that you guys came together to put such a great card together, because we don't see that very often in this sport that Defo and I love so much.
Well, I got to tell you, it's been a process. A lot of great champions have fought there. Ortiz fought Wilder. He fought there. Of course, Lauer's fought there. A lot of great champions that came and fought at the casino. We're doing a lot of shows at PVC. And it was, with my son, PVC, Mr. Earl Heyman, and, it was great success. Now, John wanted Brandy and Frank wanted a little bit more. And we did the last show. It was such a total success. The fights were so great, and had, probably 3,500 people down there watching these fights that they wanted, of course, it's all good, and people want to see good fights. And, when you have two title fights, two Cubans going at it, one a heavyweight and one a cruiserweight, it's a good night of boxing. I think that, the tickets, you can go out and, for $40, you can go and watch great fights in Hialeah, great atmosphere. It's not only the fights, it's outside too, which is, it's a really great venue. It's a great venue for boxing.
Tremendous. Louis the Cubis with us here on the show. And of course, Louis, entrenched in the Canadian movement in professional boxing, has been for a long, long time. And you've brought many great fighters into prominence here as professionals, including guys like Casamayor. Were you also involved with Lara at some time? Arislandi Lara, who was
I,
fought at
I,
Hialeah
I've been
Park?
involved with every. I've been involved with every Cuban fighter, from Lara to Gamboa to Rig. I made Rigondeaux world champion with 5 professional fights in Dallas. I made Gamboa champion was in Crim Casino in Las Vegas. I've been involved with every Cuban fighter, but the best fighter I've been involved with is Roberto Duran. I'm the one that brought him to the Barkley fight and made him world champion. And we fought, made him 4-time world champion. And then I brought him to fight Sugar Ray Leonard at the Mirage. We opened up the Mirage in 1985, December 7th. Wow. And he lost that. But after that, we fought Camacho, we fought Paciencia. And I was involved with Roberto Duran with like 33 professional fights, you know. So I've been involved with a lot of world champions. I had 23 world champions. I worked with Wilfredo Gomez, Eusebio Pedrosa, Mike Tyson at the end of his career. So it's you know, I've been in boxing 40 years. So I worked with a lot of fighters. And of course, everybody thinks the Cuban fighters, but I also worked with many other fighters, including, you know, the Polish and all the other different fighters.
Yeah, always bringing people to the top, and very exciting fighters as well. Louis de Cubis with us here on the show. All right, you guys were all in Dallas for the Ugas fight against Errol Spence Jr. First off, Louis, is it true that Spence and Crawford has been made?
I don't have no idea of it. I know that's a fight everybody's trying to make. And but I don't know if it's been made. I know I saw Spence was back in training again, and you know, I think that's the fight everybody's trying to make. I think everybody's talking about it, and mostly after this great performance by Spence, I was there. You know, my son, you know, has brought, you know, Ugas back from, you know, nobody ever thought anything of him, to put him in with Pacquiao, which he beat, and put him in a fight in front of 40,000 fans in Dallas. 2 major fights, but the kid made, you know, a few $1 million, more than a few $1 million in these 2 fights. I'm just proud of that. The kid making all that kind of money to, you know, be involved in those 2 fights. He's a great warrior, Ugas. You know, I think he hurt Spence. Spence never been in a fight like this where a guy was actually, you know, hurting him with body shots, and it proved a lot. But Spence is a great fighter. He's you know, good offense is good defense. He's constantly throwing on you, you know, so it really doesn't let you think. You know, and I think Ugas, you know, had a great performance, but the better man won that night. And I think Spence is the type of guy that, you know, that in my eyes, what I saw that night, you know, I remember when Gamboa had Crawford hurt. You know, Gamboa's a featherweight. So this guy fires down and throws a lot. And I know Crawford's one of the great ones, but he's never fought this kind of machine before.
No, and you know, the way he attacks the body, Errol Spence, punches and combinations. You know, Crawford's great, but you know, Spence might have been in there against. What's that, Louis?
He's a Henry Armstrong type fighter. He's Spence. He's an old time fighter. He's like that Kid Gavilan, you know, Ray Robinson, those kind of guys. Always throwing down on you. They never let you think. There's always, you know, they're always putting something on you, which, you know, you got to cover yourself. So good offense and good defense is a great one. Yeah. And I think Ugas had him really out, and his lights out in the 6 rounds. You heard him twice with uppercuts. But, you know, you got to finish the fight. You got to finish the show. And you got to give credit to Spence. When he was hurt, he came back stronger.
All right, well, do us a favor. Say hello. And I'm on a show, so I won't be able to make the press conference tomorrow. I'm sorry about that. But you please say hello to Leon and all of the good people there at Warriors Boxing. And, of course, our good friend Henry Rivalta. And Frank Fiore will be holding court. And you know, I mean, is it not true, Louis de Cubis? When Frankie's on to something, every detail is taken care of, man. I mean, this guy leaves nothing to chance. And, you know, so the show comes off great and always has been extremely entertaining. And I'm glad you guys are putting it together again at Hialeah Park.
Yeah, Frank, I got to tell you, I've been in the game 40 years, and Frank's, he's the best. I mean, he really knows how to, you know, organize the venue. He knows everybody's happy because he's a professional, you know, and me and Leanne, I know Henry, you know, I'm very proud to deal with Frank. It makes our job easier. And, you know, he's the one who created everything from the beginning. He had a vision, and you got to give him credit for that. John Bernetti backed him. John Bernetti Sr. at the time was alive. He backed him. And everything's great. I'm happy, and I'm glad we're going back again May 7th. And I really want these fans to come out and see this great show.
Always great. Tremendous history, Hialeah Park and boxing in South Florida, and the symmetry of the two happening at Hialeah Park May 7th with Louis Cubis involved and Leon Margulies, Henry Revolta. Fantastic. Louis, always a pleasure catching up with you. Thanks so much for being with us here on the show.
Thank you guys. All right. Have a good day. Good day.
We'll see you then. Thanks, Louis.
All right. Thanks a lot. I forgot about that whole thing with Durand.
I didn't realize he brought Durand over.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I was thinking it all started, way back, maybe, pre-Casamayor, but, very accomplished Louis de Cubis in the sport and the game of boxing. So to have him behind this thing, it's going to be just very solid stuff. And what was this? Ulysses Diaz you're talking about?
Really?
This
We had him in
guy?
studio. We had him in studio a while ago.
I remember that guy. He was very cool.
Big dude. He was really fun. He's a really good dude. And then they did Bare Knuckles about a year or so ago. And I went with buddies and my father-in-law, and he took on the time I saw him the first time, he literally knocked the dude out in like 8 seconds. It was like a record. It was ridiculous. Then this one, he fought Hector Lombard, who was a legendary MMA dude who was getting into bare knuckle boxing, and it was the best fight of the night. Like there was 12 fights. They went at it for 3 rounds. Literally, it was like old school where at the end, everyone did a standing ovation. They hugged it out. They held each other's arms up. It was freaking amazing. So the fact that he's going to be doing this, I'm like super excited.
Great action happening on, you see the reflection there. I couldn't resist watching a little tennis action this morning because I love when live sporting events are taking place while you're conducting an East Coast U.S. morning show.
Yeah, exactly.
Very rare, right? You get that with like the French Open, a little Wimbledon, the Australian Open, in golf, the British Open, or now known as just the Open. But always great. But yesterday I watched this match, and it was in the Serbia Open. Okay, so who do you think is going to be like the number one guy in there?
Right?
Novak Djokovic, right?
Yeah.
So Djokovic is in, I think he had a bye into the second round, which is not uncommon in these type of tournaments.
Yeah.
And, they're still going to have to beat like 4 or 5 guys to win the championship. And a guy whose name I believe they pronounced Jere, it was Djere, who was also, I believe, a fellow Serbian, plays his eyeballs out. And you see how difficult it is to knock off a champion because Djokovic, for some reason, has been losing his serve. He lost his first match of 2022. I think this was only his second match. And this guy took him right to the edge, had a chance to win it in 2 sets, was in a tiebreaker, lost that in a real tight tiebreaker, 8-6, and then went to a tiebreaker in the third set, and having an advantage early on, ended up losing. I mean, you talk about a tough out. But this match was classic, Lubie. I mean, and this was an early round match in like a nondescript tournament, the Serbian Open, for God's sake. You see how good you have to be at the top of that game. I mean, that sport is becoming – people always rip it because there's no great American tennis player. Remember when people would argue, well, there's no great heavyweight champion, so all boxing sucks? Far from the truth.
Yeah, duh. It's just hard for people
I don't think I've ever seen better action on the men's side of tennis than is taking place right now in terms of virtually every match being a toss-up and being fought and contested at just the most elite of tennis levels. They have a British-sounding announcer, too, on Tennis Channel, who I don't know if he's actually at the matches because they're at 4 different locations. And I think he might be broadcasting off a monitor in the studio. But he is prone to the kind of hyperbole you only usually get from a screaming Mauro Ranallo on those Showtime boxing events. I should have been a screamer. That's going to be the name of my book. Yeah. That's why I lost it. I just should have been a screamer. All right, we'll leave that for your own interpretation. We have Dave Hyde coming up, a very distinguished columnist from the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, but known around the world. I would imagine there is no doubt some heavy syndication of his work right now because most of the newspapers around the country don't even have a staff anymore. So wire copy and, imagine a very accomplished columnist like Dave Hyde, probably in strong demand to fill the sports sections of papers around the country and around the world. He's going to join us next. We're red hot here in South Florida, and it's not because of the sun. We'll get into that with Dave Hyde in just a moment here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Once again, only another day or so to remind you to get your tickets for the Cigar Snob presentation of Cigar of the Year. It's going to be their big party. Oliva, I didn't realize, Gurgles, Oliva is a guy that lives in Miami Lakes there on the golf course at Chula.
That's
very,
cool.
very
That's cool.
interesting. Yeah, that was nice. Melanio, Maduro going to be represented. Surfcomer Hotel. That's on South Beach. You blend your own Cigar of the Year. Food and drink, open bar, and hors d'oeuvres running around there. And it's not like one of these things where you can't, hey, anybody got any more of those little hot dogs? Just a classy party coming up. So you'll want to be in attendance. Lubie said he would go if he wasn't on his way to Greece.
100%. Oh, no, I would not be all in. Like, it sounds... who times I've been to cigar things, I've had a blast. Like, I would for sure have gone.
You know what this really, just screams for is the presence of our good friend, the Greek.
Oh, the Greek. Yeah, this is like a Greek thing. 100%.
One of our former partners on the radio. And still involved, I guess, doing some radio up in Palm Beach now. I didn't realize he had his show back on the air there on 1230 The Zone, if you're looking for it. And no doubt on the iHeart radio app. But, this is going to be great. The Greek would love this thing, man. Any kind of show like this, classy cigars, and make your own cigar concept is great. Universe.com/cigar of the year. For more information and tickets for the party. That's Saturday night coming up at the Surfcomer Hotel on South Beach. All right, we're coming back with more. Dave Hyde going to join us, and we'll take it out the door with the great columnist from the South Florida Sun Sentinel, Dave Hyde, coming up next on the Defo Show in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:36.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
David, are the Dolphins evolving into a well-run franchise? Chris Greer has made some interesting moves. I mean, regardless of what they've tried to do, they win 5 games, 10 games with Brian Flores as coach and Greer as the main guy in the general manager's chair. Now, with this small little fire they had going with Xavier Howard, they managed to put that out and douse those flames before the season gets underway. What's happening with this Dolphin franchise? Is it possible that they are finally on a path to go in the right direction?
Oh, God, I hope so. How many years I mean, as a poor sports writer, having to cover mediocrity to less than mediocrity for most of 2 decades, I hope so.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right. Look at this handsome gentleman here, and sitting in a very lavish location. The lucrative sports writing career obviously has left Dave Hyde in a pretty comfortable position in life. We welcome the show. Welcome back to the program, Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. We welcome the distinguished columnist. He's won virtually every award, Pulitzer Prizes, Nobel Peace Prizes, whatever prize could be doled out. Dave Hyde probably has one somewhere on a mantle in his home. And the longtime columnist with the South Florida Sun Sentinel joins us here on the show. David, how are you, my friend?
Well, I join you from the Coconut Grove Bureau of the Sun Sentinel today.
Nice.
Yeah, is that your backyard? It looks great.
This is my backyard. We got a little green. We're showing a little green for you. You know.
Oh, very nice. No, it looks fantastic, and you know, it's nice to see you in the great outdoors here, or see you anywhere for that matter. Thanks for joining us via this new sensational modern technology that allows us to kind of run a television network out of our out of our bathroom. It's fantastic. All right, I have to ask you this because I was so happy to see that Jerry West has had attorneys act on his behalf to try and get some kind of response or retraction or an apology, anything out of the people behind the show Winning Time on HBO, which we've also been wondering if Pat Riley, I mean, you're close to Pat Riley. Has he mentioned anything to you about the horrendous depiction? I don't know if you've seen this of and portrayal of both he and Jerry West.
Yeah, no, I haven't talked to Pat, nor has pretty much anybody else, I don't think. He goes underground most of the season and certainly for the playoffs. But yeah, I put in an interview request for Adrian Brody, the actor who played him.
Oh, yeah?
And that was about a month ago, and HBO said, yeah, no problem. Well, evidently there was a problem, and I assume it's because of the fallout of the whole Jerry West portrayal, and it's what a buffoonery. That's the thing. There's enough drama in that, and good and bad and interesting. That why even do that to Jerry? That's insanity. That's Hollywood gets a script and goes wild with it.
Well, they're not doing Pat any favors. I mean, I was in Los Angeles at the time, and I remember doing an article about Chick Hearn, and he had mentioned Pat Riley, and shortly after that, Pat Riley became the head coach of the team. We'd seen Riley's basketball career. It wasn't as distinguished as a pro player as it eventually became as a coach and an executive, but I never could I picture this guy. What we've been saying, I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, but Bobcat Goldthwait is there, and he takes a hit of this cocaine that Depp had just acquired, and he says, "I can't feel my face." And that's kind of the way they're portraying how Riley was, like he was just left over from the hippy dippy generation that still was caught in a time warp in the mid to late 70s.
I've only caught snippets of it, to be honest with you, the show, and so I can't give a great summarization of how Pat's being portrayed. I'll leave that to you. I read the book a little, but it just didn't interest me that much.
Yeah, they do portray everybody as almost everybody comes off as a complete buffoon and a clown that you knew to be very distinguished people in the history of the NBA. All right, speaking of the NBA, we have the Heat involved in their opening round series, 2-0. Against the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks came in, looking like a shot fighter in the first game, and nobody anticipated much coming from them after they were in the play-in tournament. And the Heat looked great in that ball game. And then Lubie's been screaming for this for the last couple of seasons. When is Jimmy Butler going to rise to the occasion and be the man? And he was the man in game number 2. So they've won the 2 games in 2 kind of different fashions. Where do you see them right now? Because we've been exploring this question with a variety of people, and putting it in the context of the Heat finished as the best team in the East, but are they the best team in the East? Where do you stand on that question after watching the first couple of games of the series and the rest of the action in the Eastern Conference playoffs?
Yeah. Well, this series is over. I mean, Atlanta's not going to win 4 or 5. The question, does it go 5 games, 4? And I guess game 3 Friday night will settle that. But, are the Heat the best team? The NBA is such each year, the regular season, the one team that really went hard after the number 1 seed was the Heat. And look what it got them. It got them this first round matchup against Atlanta, as opposed to playing Brooklyn in the first round. In the second round, they'll play Philadelphia rather than probably Boston or Milwaukee. So there's great riches to get in that number 1 seed, and you see why they went after it. Now, who knows? I don't know who some of these other teams are, because they have had guys in and out of the lineup, and it was even more with other teams. So I know they'll be a tough out, whoever they play. They could go to the NBA Finals. They could lose to Philadelphia in the second round. There's no, dominant team like those Showtime Lakers or the Big Three Heat. Milwaukee and Boston, Milwaukee because they won the championship last year, and they added, they got Brooke Lopez back surgery, and that was a huge addition, especially when you look if they match up against the Heat. Brooke Lopez, that mountain in the middle, and the one thing that does give the Heat trouble size. And Boston's played great the last couple months of the season. So, but look, come on, Lubie, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler, 2019 season or 2020, it was a bubble season. It's hard to keep them straight in those era. He carried them to the NBA Finals, playoffs. So this year will be a defining time for Jimmy Butler, and that was 45 points. I think Spoelstra said it right. I mean, it sounds crazy, but he was Dwayne Wade that game. He carried the game. He changed the complexion, and unlike Wade, he played a dominant role on defense too. So the difference is Wade did that many nights. Butler, can he put back to back games like that? We'll see.
When we're talking with Dave Hyde, renowned columnist from the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Follow him up on Twitter at Dave Hyde Sports. Well, and that's the thing is, and we saw that in that run that year where he didn't do it every game, but he said it openly, and it frustrated me. But he said, look, if my team needs me, I'm going to do it. If I fill a game out, if they don't, I'm not going to infringe on what they're doing. And we've seen that so far. Game 1, he was good, not great. Game 2, he's like, all right, everyone's struggling. I'm going to carry us to the victory. And Jimmy Butler's been amazing at that. Look, he did it 45-5-5 without a foul or a turnover. I don't even know how that's possible because he was a dogged defender. The problem for me so far is if you can have one being up 2-0, this team isn't built like that, right? Like that's what's good about this team, and they use it as a negative nationally. They don't need to just have one or two guys. Like we've seen 9, literally Strus and Robinson, and Vincent and Lowry defensively have all had a part in this series. My confusion is where are Bam and Hero on offense? Like this is the worst defensive team in the playoffs. They're missing their best defender and their best big man. You would think Bam and Hero would be feasting, and I'm sort of confused at why they haven't imposed their will more and when we see them do that.
Yeah, Bam and Hero haven't had good 2 games. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. You look at Bam got in foul trouble last game real early, and he's the one guy going ahead. He's got to play well because they don't have size. He is their size pretty much. And so, but the question for the Heat and in the NBA, we're so used to saying win the title as much as a team, yes, with Milwaukee. Before it was LeBron and Wade and Bosh with the Heat and the Heat, you're right, aren't built like that. The question, and Spoelstra says there's many ways up the mountain, except there haven't been many ways up the mountain, really. Usually it's a dominant player or two have carried it. So the question becomes for the Heat, when if they get to the second round, third round, where will some of these guys who have played so well in the regular season, the Max Strus, Caleb Martins, where will they be against competition as it rises? And that's the interesting part because it's an ensemble cast for the Heat. You're right. There's no one guy in game 1, Duncan Robinson was 9 of 10 shooting, 8 of 9 on 3-pointers, a franchise record. And in game 2, he didn't score. He didn't even take a shot in 5 or 7 minutes.
6 minutes.
And so it's the fascinating part to me is Spoelstra, how he has, okay, what's working tonight? Who's working? How we make this work? Okay. And Caleb Martin, who didn't play at all, hardly in game 1, had a nice role in game 2. And, they frustrated with the mixing of people and switching defenses. They've frustrated Trae Young. He had bad game. What was a career low scoring first game, and he had 10 turnovers the second game. So we'll see. Atlanta's down to really, their last shot. See what happens here.
Does seem like the Heat just have too much talent and firepower for the Atlanta Hawks. And we were saying that Trae Young, I don't know if you're familiar with this cinema atrocity, the basketball movie One-on-One with Robbie Benson.
Oh, I love that movie. Annette Tooling was that was a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, it was just a horror show. And Trae Young looks like Benson did when he first started playing for that maniacal militaristic coach.
All the way up with that line. Remember that line? You remember that line, Bill? All the way up with a red hot poker. Remember that?
Yeah, it was ugly, and that's how Trae Young looks when he goes to the middle of the floor there. I mean, he just looks befuddled, and all of a sudden he looks a little like Pearl Washington did when he was with the original Heat. When every time he would dribble the ball up the court, it would go off of his kneecap and into the lap of some man who was sitting in the third row, flipper popcorn out. All right. Mike Mayo has to come up in this conversation because of this foolish bet that he's made.
Closer, yep.
Where he believes, and now he wants to throw in a towel on a thing. I mean, he's really waffling on this, but I can't help but think back to the image of like Mayo, and I think you were present at this. He was like naked singing Irish tunes in a bar somewhere while covering the British Open or something. What happened to him that he became this cantankerous, obstinate, irascible old fart now that just doesn't believe that anything good can happen in South Florida when it comes to the sports teams? Can the Panthers really lose a first-round series? Can they possibly lose again?
That guy, and it was in Japan, and not Irish singing.
Yeah.
It was and he was singing Roxanne. It was just brutal. It was very,
what happened to that Mayo? I mean, I don't party like I used to. I'm sure you don't either, but I mean, it's Mayo. I mean, he's just rolled up into a little ball and become a guy that, like, you expect to see on a golf course going, "You're not getting your ball back," after some guy knocks like a 3-wood into his backyard.
He was that guy at age 30. That's how he's always been. I mean, it's good that his age is developing, a good level of his cantankerousness. It's good.
Yeah.
It's perfect age and attitude right now.
Would this be the most deflating result, though, that you could possibly have? I mean, you watch sports forever, just like I have, and you see teams performing. It doesn't seem conceivable that the team now that has won 11 in a row and is finding dramatic ways to come from behind. On other games, they're scoring 7 goals. They're getting a reasonable amount, of efficient goaltending out of Bobrovsky, even though he had that little slump, where you can't imagine that they're going to lose a first-round playoff series. Would this be the most deflating result possibly in South Florida history if Mayo cashes this bet and they go out in round 1?
South Florida history. You have to throw that out there. And,
yeah. I mean, as long as I've been here,
through the files. It would certainly be worse than Panther history. Hockey is random. Okay, it's not unusual for lower seeds to beat higher seeds. Have a question. It's Bobrovsky, but come on, this team should, the way they're playing, the way they've been, and the way they're constructed with guys at the height of their careers, and they're not old players. These are guys right in the prime of their careers. They're ready to make a run, and the question for me right now, and I'm thinking of this column, are we going to have a 2-title town? I mean, is there a chance for both?
Don't write that yet. Don't write that yet.
2 titles. Like I'm going to jinx anything. Come on, seriously.
Yeah.
You're taking
I guess you better do it now.
We go down to the Indian Circle there in downtown. Come on, what is my column going to do? But yeah, could both these teams have the chance to make a run, and that'd be such a fun spring.
Well, and, you watch sports, like I was saying, and you see a team that's performing like this from bell to bell for the season. And unless something catastrophic happened, I know, it could happen with the Phoenix Suns, where they were far and away the best team, at least in the West in the NBA, ran away with that. And all of a sudden, Devin Booker's out, and the next thing you know, they got a little bit of a dangerous team that gets in a play-in situation, and they could find themselves with Booker out the next couple of games, 2-2, even down 3-1. It's not inconceivable.
They'll win
so anything could happen. But I mean, if things stay status quo, I just can't see this team going down to either. I mean, it's possible what they have the Penguins or Ovechkin in the Caps.
Or Washington.
Even though those teams are good teams, I just think that they've done too much this year to see that happening.
Yeah, and give them Ovechkin and the Caps. They'll take care of that. That'd be a good series. You know, the only question, and it's a question for every team, but probably for the Panthers a little more because Bobrovsky's shown that he wobbles some. He wobbled in the playoffs last year. He did in a recent stretch here. But they have enough offense in an early series. The question would be as the playoffs go on and they get against tougher teams, would it be an issue? And does Spencer Knight come in? And you can see that being an issue down the line. But no, come on, Mayo, get on board here. This is
Yeah.
the first time in
I don't get him.
a quarter century we've had anything to root for, of substance. For the Panthers.
And he has to cite history, and in this case, histrionics.
He's scared. He's scared, right?
Yes, 100%.
I don't know what happened to him, man. I mean, he's not scared when he's in one of these restaurants. That he lavishes praise on. I mean, we were out eating with him yesterday at one of his favorite spots there, the Even Keel Fish Shack on A1A and Commercial Boulevard, and. He seemed fine, right? And then the minute we brought up this Panther thing, he got all bitter-faced and said, "Hey, listen, you know what? You guys are going to see. They'll never win a series." Some beef he has going with Doug Sifu, I think.
Put Roxanne on the jukebox.
Exactly.
That's right.
Naked in a bar in Japan, this guy's singing on the tabletops, and now he can't see the light on something like this. All right. I don't know. I mean, I seem to recall maybe, even interviewing you at one of these Dolphin draft parties. Were you ever, inclined to go to one of these Dolphin draft parties to do a column
Sure,
about?
I did. I'm sure I did, but I don't remember the great word. I've been at draft parties.
Mad Dog didn't call you over at one point while we were trying to kill 6 hours until the Dolphins made their first selection on WIOD, a flagship station on the Dolphins, and go, well, you know what? They could go wide receiver, Jim, but if they don't do that, there's a good chance Randall Hill, won't be available, and maybe they go in another direction. And we didn't call you over and say, Dave, man, we're dying over here. There's nothing more to say about this.
Draft party I remember, Defo, with Mandis one, and where they drafted Ted Ginn Jr. and right before that, Mandis was at the party because it was
Brady Quinn
outside at the Dolphins facility there. It was that year they had the party there. Mandis was talking about how Brady Quinn's there. It's working out perfectly, and as soon as I was standing there and Ted Ginn's announced, oh my God, that was. I walked back in and I remember telling Harvey Green, hey. Because he was saying, okay, Cam Cameron's going out there. And I said to Harvey to go out there right now. This is true.
Dressed
and
like
he said,
yeah.
He said, what would be worse, him saying he'd go out there before the draft and that not going out or going out there? And I go, well, for history's sake, probably him going out there. And he got roundly booed. Good job, Cam.
Yeah. He made one of those John Henry statements that just stuck with him for whatever reason. When John Henry said he would build his own stadium, and everybody kind of held him to it, even though I think he was being facetious. And then Coco Cameron says, "Well, we drafted the whole family, man." Well, you could trade the rest of those guys. And oddly, he was right. That's the weirdest thing about that whole situation was that Brady Quinn had a cup of coffee in the NFL. Yeah. As we said, we're the only guys, Lubie and me are the only guys that ever lost a starting job to Brady Quinn. And we got bagged at the radio station for the Brady Quinn show, which I'm sure is an international hit. But Ginn went on to, a pretty long and I guess, somewhat impactful NFL career. He made a difference with a few teams.
Yeah. It's a long career. And you look at, Darrelle Revis was drafted 13th that year, but really you look at the rest of the draft, there wasn't a whole lot there. So that was actually a good draft pick.
Yeah. So what do we do this year? I mean, will there be a party? I guess that was the point. When you don't pick until the fourth day. Do they have that gathering at Hard Rock Stadium?
Well, they probably will, but who will go? I mean, it's like I see all these mock drafts down here.
Yeah.
Who cares for the first? It's just amazing. The last 3 years, the Dolphins were built completely around the draft, and everything was about the draft. And everybody was on board with, oh, this is great. This is the way to do it. This is the way to. Now they've traded their whole draft pick, and all the fans are saying, yep, this is the way to do it. Yep, this is the way to do it. It's like they're lemmings going over the cliff of and look, Tyreek Hill is a great player. Okay, they're going to be a better team this year because of that. But am I the only one saying, wait, they traded a whole draft for Tyreek Hill and made him the highest paid receiver in football when there's about 5 other impact receivers out there waiting to be traded? Or I'm just, they're going to be really good with him, and he's a great, obviously he's a great player. He helps your offense a lot. I'm just saying that they have a guy like him and Jalen White, got DK Metcalf or something, a big, strong, or Deebo Samuel's on the market now. I'm just, the cost of Tyreek Hill was so much, virtually a whole draft and huge money. Yeah. And I get it. Everybody think Mike McDaniel is the greatest coach in history, and Tyreek Hill is the greatest move in history. And that's Dolphin fans for you. I love them. I love them. They see optimism every year. When they were tanking, it was the great. I mean, nobody had done a better strategy than that.
Yeah. No, I mean, we suggested they should get like Sarah Huckabee Sanders to be the PR director there, because the way that, whatever they need to feed us, they feel free to go ahead and figure that Dolphin fans and the media will buy it. No matter what, I'm kind of a fan of the Tyreek Hill move. I know the Dolphins are set up so that they have all of this draft capital right back again next year. So if they took a departure from the formula of we're going to get young and be prosperous forever and have a lot of guys that are easily manageable underneath the salary cap that'll play for us for 3-4 years, and then we'll figure out if we want to keep them. That seems sound, but this was a move maybe that you just make. You're taking somebody comes to you right now, Dave Hyde, and says, "Hey, I've got cryptocurrency that you can have for like 2 cents." You're probably going to take a shot with it, right? Because it's too good to be true. So, we'll see how it works out. You win a little mayo on that one. That was good.
Are they a playoff team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, how many teams are in the playoffs now? 20 out of 30?
Yeah, that's the problem. Is there's 12 teams in the AFC that can make it. What, 8 make it? Is it 8 or 7? 7 make it?
I think. Look, Tyreek Hill makes him a much better team.
Yeah.
And he's going to be fun to watch. And I get why they did it. But usually when you do a move like that, the old one player away
title,
applies, and we're talking one player. What can they make the playoffs? I mean, I get why they made it. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm just not 2 feet jumping up and down like Dolphins fans are.
All right, that makes sense. We'll see how that plays out. Dave, always a pleasure, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Thanks much for joining us here. I love the scenery there in Coconut Grove, and look forward to having you on many more times now that people see the great Dave Hyde, columnist for the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Defo.
All right, Dave Hyde, ladies and gentlemen. That was a little sketchy. Was that video locking up a little bit, or was that just me?
No, he's using his phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not on a computer with strong internet that's sitting here with, I think he was using his phone. For phone.
Even having like a picture of the guy, even frozen on screen, I think is a plus over the, the death of a non-visual cell phone call. All right, a lot of fun being with you. A degenerate Friday tomorrow, and then Lubie's off, and we have some special programming lined up for you for the following week.
Yes,
so don't worry about a thing, man. Tune in at 7 o'clock.
Right.
You're going to see us. Yeah, working very hard on that all week long so that we can provide you with the kind of entertainment you're accustomed to here on ION Channel. Our thanks to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, Hialeah Park. It was great. Dave Gurgly, fantastic. Louis the Cubis, it's going to be a hell of a fight card there on May the 7th. We're planning on being there. I hope you guys are too. HialeahPark.com for tickets. Don't forget about the Cigar of the Year party. Still a couple of days to get in on that, as that's going to be a dynamite event at the Surfcomer Hotel Saturday night. Universe.com/cigar of the year. for ticket information, and you can purchase tickets to the event, which also includes an open bar and hors d'oeuvres and all kinds of great stuff, and blend your own cigars. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and always a pleasure having Dave Hyde on the show. Tomorrow, the professor with the big board, the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, all part of the fanfare on a Degenerate Friday, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:04.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.